Princess Leonor of Spain, heir to the throne, reportedly found love where no one expected, at her boarding school in Wales. This exclusive report explores the hidden side of this discreet but moving royal romance, amidst rumors, knowing glances, and silence from the palace. A story that could change everything for the Spanish monarchy. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video, and leave us a comment with your thoughts on this possible secret royal romance. Here's the story. She is young, beautiful, discreet, and one of the most promising faces of European royalty. From a young age, Leonor of Spain has carried the weight of the future crown. And yet, amidst the obligations, military courts, solemn speeches, and strictly controlled appearances, the princess seems to have found a breath of humanity, tenderness, and perhaps even love. It is within the walls of Wales's most prestigious boarding school, UWC Atlantic College, that this story is said to have begun. A place far from the media pressure, protected by high walls and surrounded by the ocean, but which has not escaped certain attentive eyes. There, Leonor wasn't a princess. She was simply another student, sharing dormitories, meals, exams, and the doubts of adolescence. And it was in this almost utopian setting that a young man allegedly captured her heart. They shared class projects, participated in the same discussion groups, crossed paths in the dining hall, and supported each other during volunteer days. Slowly, without rushing, a bond was formed. Witnesses describe lingering glances, meaningful smiles, and a clear tenderness. But who is this young man who allegedly won the heart of the heir to the Spanish throne? Rumors are as numerous as speculation. Some say he was originally from Northern Europe, from a discreet but influential aristocratic family. Others speak of a committed student, passionate about human rights, with whom Leonor formed a deep relationship based on shared values. Still others mention a young man of Spanish nationality, who joined the school the same year as her. No name has been confirmed, no images have been leaked, and this is perhaps what makes this story even more fascinating. The royal household, for its part, maintains absolute silence. Officially, the princess's private life is not discussed. Unofficially, some close aides to the palace suggest that this relationship, although discreet, is known and accepted. Queen Letizia reportedly met the young man during a discreet visit to the campus, and King Felipe, more reserved, was cautious but respectful of his daughter's choice. The boarding school, known for having educated former members of royal families such as Princess Elizabeth of Belgium and Princess Alexia of the Netherlands, is a space of freedom but also of cultural diversity. For an heiress like Leonor, discovering romantic feelings there is nothing surprising. What is surprising, however, is the depth this relationship seems to have taken. The teachers, bound by a duty of confidentiality, nevertheless admit that Leonor has always been very involved, serious, but also warm with certain classmates, including this one. There are mentions of walks on the cliffs, late-night chats under the stars, handwritten correspondence during the holidays. All of this is enough to make lovers of modern fairy tales dream. But the love of a princess cannot be like any other love. Very quickly, the question of the future arises. Leonor, now engaged in intense military training, is preparing her return to Spain to assume more royal responsibilities. He, on the other hand, is probably pursuing studies abroad, far from the pressures of the monarchy. So how can this story continue? By correspondence? Through secret meetings? Or, on the contrary, will duty break the romance? Some close to the royal family suggest that this relationship, while real, is considered temporary, like a bubble in the princess's life. Others claim that Leonor is more determined than we think, capable of defending her choices with a strength inherited from both her father and mother. The memory of the controversial relationship between Felipe and Letizia, initially poorly received in some circles but ultimately cemented by the royal wedding, often serves as a parallel. It's also fascinating to see how passionate this story is in Spain. Online forums, tabloids, and social media discussions ignite at the slightest allusion. A smile from Leonor at a public event is enough to reignite speculation. A discreet piece of jewelry on her wrist, a letter in her hand, a borrowed book. Everything is a source of clues. But beyond the rumors, This story resonates deeply in a country seeking to rediscover a more human, more accessible monarchy. Seeing Leonor in love, vulnerable, and sincere is to see the monarchy in a new light. It is to understand that behind the official speeches and impeccable uniforms, there is a young woman also seeking to love, to dream, to build something real. Sources close to the school confided that the separation at the end of the course was difficult. It was said to have been a final, discreet goodbye, on the steps of the castle, in the light rain, with meaningful glances. Since then, they have reportedly remained in touch. A bond that even distance has not erased. Today, as Leonor continues her military career and prepares to one day embody the Spanish crown, this love story, if it still exists, constitutes an invisible thread in her life. A gentle but persistent force, a silent refuge. And perhaps, a challenge. Because loving when you're a princess isn't easy. Constraints, scrutiny, political interests, family pressures, everything comes into play. Yet, according to those who know her, Leonor would be ready to defend her heart. And to follow her intuition, even if it means sacrifices. Like her mother once, who defied the monarchy to marry a journalist, Leonor could well follow her own path, shake up the codes, and impose a new image of royal power. But all of this, for now, remains shrouded in mystery. What we do know is that a romance began, in the hushed silence of a Welsh boarding school, between a princess and a classmate. A story the whole world would love to uncover, but one that the person concerned protects with rare elegance. A story that reminds us that even princesses, despite titles and traditions, also seek to love freely. And you, do you think Leonor will succeed in reconciling her heart and her crown?